you stop and take a little time out with me? Just take 5.
Sweet. And then quickly on the Mavs and T-Wolves, like last night, I mean, we saw what happened. Like that was just schematically, like especially in that last possession, like that's just BS. And then even the T-Wolves offensive scheme is just they have nothing going on. Like they're trying to like let ISO ball work, but like if Ant Man's not going to be aggressive, then like that's not going to work either. Like that this is part of the reason why like I can't even like put him up to that face of the league thing, because we can't be having fatigue issues. Like obviously he's been playing a lot of minutes this playoffs, but like can't be having that. Maybe that'll go to the storyline. Like we'll come back to this year if they get beat. He comes back next year and just like he's the ultimate world beater in the playoffs. Like we'll come back to this. Like he obviously didn't work, but
I agree with what you were saying, but I don't think this will happen again. Like I feel like the age is a big factor in this. Like the fact that he's never had to play a season this long.
Yeah,
he's never been on a deep playoff run. I don't think David had ever won a series with him prior to this year. So I feel like he's definitely like, I mean, we can see like he's probably wearing down right now, which is not an excuse. It's not a good excuse, but I do think that's like the reality of the situation. So I don't think it will happen again, probably ever in his career.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it's a learning moment, but I do believe they'll at least take a game, but it doesn't. They better
take game 3.
Post games, of course, but with your star player being out like that, like or down like that, like there's no way you can win 4 games.
Yeah, he has to be better. I mean, he has to play better. Yeah.
All right, boy.
All right, bro. We're gonna keep it going.
Of course.
The one-on-one we needed for and now it's gonna get live. You got any last words?
I mean, yeah. I feel like one thing that's kind of flying under the radar in this series, we haven't looked at Chris Finch enough. The coach of the Timberwolves. I feel like he got a lot of credit throughout the season for, being a good coach, leading them to a very good record. They had a great season. And he got credit last series as well when they were playing the Nuggets. The way that they're approaching offense in this series is interesting to me. And I said it in Game 7 of the last series as well, when you kind of saw Ant Man get taken out of the game. In my opinion, I don't think as a coach you can't even allow that. Like maybe Ant Man is too young to like do that himself, but I feel like there are situations and positions that you can put him in to succeed way more than like him initiating offense at the top of the key. Because like I know we were talking about this, like when Ant-Man has the ball at the top of the key, yeah, he's gonna dribble, do a few dribble moves. They call a ball screen for him, and then they're gonna, everyone is gonna kind of shrink the floor on him. I feel like you can't allow that because that's gonna take him out of the game, And he's not a pass first player. Like you need Ant-Man to be at the rim, or you need him to be shooting. So I think they need to take him off the ball, put him in the post. I was telling you yesterday, like maybe clear out a side of the court, put him in the post, and then let him go from there. Like kind of like try to simplify the game, because him having to think so much, like with all of this like ball handling, I don't think that's the best way to use him.
All right, let's get into it. So, Julian, like always, you know what I'm saying? That's a very logical take. I told you that I agree with you. There are definitely ways that you could use Anthony Edwards to increase his efficiency, get some better looks on offense. I can't dispute that much. But what I will say to you, though, is we're talking about a team that was a half game out of number 1 in the West throughout the year. Anthony Edwards played 79 of those games, right? You go into the playoffs, he's giving you 28, an efficient 28 as well. So, but one thing we have to also understand about the Timberwolves is they're not an offensive team. That's not even how they're built. Of course, they have offensive players. and Ant Man, and of course Karl Anthony Towns. They're not built to be an offensive team. Their offense is their defense, right? So when you come down and Luka Doncic, he had a very great night. I think he had maybe like 34, something like that, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. When you come down, he gives you the ISO moves, right? You're doing all you can to defend, and he gets a bucket. We're in the half court offense at that point, which is just simply not the strong suit of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have guys that can space the floor, right? And Karl Anthony Towns, Jaden McDaniels shot very well over the course of the playoffs. But these guys aren't true shooters, right? And then you add in a Rudy Gobert in there to clog up the lane for an Ant-Man, something like that. The defense could just zero in on him, and it makes it tough in that half-court scenario. Game 1, Anthony Edwards talked about how he just didn't get downhill enough. How do you get downhill? What's the best way to get downhill? Is playing in transition, turning defense into offense. So if you're how many points did they score in this game, Drew? Let me see if I can get that up really quick. When was this? This was Friday.
109 to 108.
109. So that's not crazy. That's not a crazy scoring night for them. But if you're the Timberwolves, what was it? I think 98-90. They beat the Nuggets in game 7. Those are the types of games that they want to find themselves into. To me, that's where they look their best, holding the opponent to very low scoring numbers. 110 isn't that high, right? But it's still the playoffs, and they were still at home. So, they definitely want to keep those numbers down, because that's going to help their offense, move much more smoothly. You're right, they can use Ant-Man in different ways, but this is how they play. I mean, this is just how they play at the end of the day.
I thought you can't say that, though, in the playoffs. Like, I agree with what you're saying in terms of turning your defense into offense. Like, that will definitely help all of their players because they're young and athletic. They can run. That would definitely benefit them. But we can't just say, like, this is how we approach the game. We're not going to change it at least offensively. Like, I don't get that at all. Ant-Man is right now being taken out of the game. He's your best player. He's the engine that drives you. Why would you not try to do something else to kind of free him up or get him better looks to make the game simpler? Like, the game looks like it's going very, very fast for him right now. The last 3 games, when they've been like blitzing him on the ball screen or shrinking the floor, and he's having to like get into the lane and he's thinking too much. Like, you can see it. Game 1, he ran into the lane, didn't shoot, or no, I'm tripping. Game 7 of the Nuggets series, when they were losing pretty badly, he got into the lane, a shot that he would probably take. I would say he'd take it 9 out of 10 times. He passed the ball and turned it over. Like, I don't get it. I feel like they need to simplify the game for him, and I think that'll help them a lot.
It's all true, but I'm playing chess and you're playing checkers, right? You're trying to move A to B. I'm trying to move C back to A, right? How do you help the offense out? You got to play better defense. You can't allow Luka Doncic to go berserk, right? Kyrie had a quiet first half, but he came in rattling off like I don't even know how many points in the second half. I mean, he was getting buckets. If you clamp down defensively, it's going to help that offense move much more smoothly.
I agree, but I don't even think that they're playing bad defense, especially not yesterday. Like,
not bad.
When you're playing guys like Luka and Kyrie, like, there's going to be times where they're just going to make shots. Like, that's going to happen. They're great enough players to make those shots. So I don't think they're playing that bad on defense. Maybe I think that they played bad at the end of the game on defense. Like, why did they start switching Rudy Gobert onto Luka in the last 2 possessions? Most of the game they blitzed him. Try to get the ball out of his hands, which I think is fine. You got to make Derek Lively make the right play. You got to make Gafford make the right play. Any of those other guys, besides Kyrie, obviously. But the last 2 possessions, randomly, now you're starting to switch Rudy Gobert onto Kyrie or onto Luka. I don't understand that approach.
But let me stop you though. Why is that significant? Because Minnesota, they were up this game for the majority of this game until it came down to the wire, right? They had them on free throws and what have you. In addition to that, they've proven that they can win without Anthony Edwards going berserk. You know what I'm
That's true.
saying? So you go into a game 7 situation versus the MVP and play off Jamal Murray. They both get off, but you don't get the flurries from MPJ, Caldwell Pope, all those other guys because you're locking down defensively, at least on them, right? Against Dallas, however, that's not exactly what occurred. Okay. Like I could point to a couple of different guys that made significant impacts, and ultimately, that ended in the loss. But again, they lost on a shot at the end of the day, right? So, like you said, the defense wasn't bad. It's not like they scored a boatload of points, anything like that. But if they do hold them to, 2 less possessions in this game, let's say, they're coming out of this, right?
I mean,
They're coming out.
They also need to stop turning the ball over. Like those,
Yeah.
I feel like they lost both games on wasted possessions. In game 1, when Jaden McDaniels was under the rim and he turned the ball over, maybe like 1 minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes left. I think they lost that game there because they came down immediately. PJ Washington hit a 3 and they ended up losing. Then last night, obviously, two times Ant Man turned the ball over in the last maybe 4 minutes. And you can't do that. Like I feel like it cost them both games. Like they very easily could be up 2-0 in this series had they taken care of the ball in crucial moments. And they didn't, which sucks. But like I don't think the series is over. They gotta clean up a few things and come out game 3 like in super desperation mode. Because if they don't, we know what's gonna happen. If the game is close at the end, I don't think they're gonna win. You're going versus 2 great closers, and you don't, at least from what we've seen, they don't have any closers.
No, they're not to that caliber. No, they don't.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I mean, actually, that's not true. Ant-Man did close games out. Like he closed games out in the first series. But as of right now, the way that they're approaching the game, I don't know if they have any closers who can go shot for shot with a Luka or a Kyrie. So
no, they don't. And you're right about the turnovers and that, like, you know what I mean? But I don't think you change your identity up at all, moving forward. You're just going to have to lock in defensively, man. Like, you're going to have to hold, some of these guys, like,
it's not even,
you're giving up 16 to Gafford, you're giving up 14 to Lively. You know what I mean? Like, that's tough to win. It's just going to be tough to win if you got 5 guys in double figures on the other side. That's tough.
I mean, those guys are playing really well also. Like the bigs on Dallas, they're playing very well. But I feel like that's also because like it's almost impossible to stop Luka or Kyrie when they get into the lane. So they're just getting dunks. It's just been dunks.
But you got to pick your poison though. You can't allow, like, if Luka gives you a 30-point triple-double, 13 assists, you're losing that game. You're most likely losing that game. Like that's when it gets major because again, you're giving 16 to Gafford, 14 to Lively that way. They're not gonna get it on their own. So like,
no, they wouldn't. Like there's only so much they can do though. Like they have Rudy Gobert playing in drop coverage, or
but you gotta stop one though. So all I'm saying, you hold Luka to 25. You know what I'm saying? You win a 25-point triple-double or something like that. You win the game.
I can agree with that. So I feel like they need to decide what they're going to do and just do it. Like they need to commit to it.
In addition to that, I think if he gets 40 and doesn't get 10, they still could come out with that game. Like,
I mean, definitely
in this situation, is all I'm saying. But you got to pick your poison. That's all I'm trying to say about it. You definitely got to pick your poison. But that's a good series. I think even 2-0 is still smoke. And I agree with you. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to go out this way. They seem pretty pissed off after the last game. So they got to come. They got to come with that necessary energy and